Alright, so before we get started, I want to go over the idea behind these 3-pack reviews real quick, as I'm probably going to do a few more of these over the next few weeks. I usually go through a period at the end of each year where I watch a ton of movies to catch up on all the limited releases and foreign films from the year that I didn't get to see. And this is just a way for me to quickly give my thoughts without uploading 20 videos over a few weeks. Alright, we good? Good. Okay, so first up we have Brigsby Bear, directed by Dave McCary and starring Kyle Mooney. Now, I'm not normally one to use the word heartwarming to describe a film, but that's the best I could come up with when thinking back on it. Brigsby Bear is a really bizarrely endearing semi-black comedy with some interesting themes behind it, and I would recommend it to anyone that finds the quirky brand of cinema appealing. The movie centers around a children's TV show called Brigsby Bear Adventures that our main character James's life revolves around. After a series of unfortunate events, the show abruptly ends and leads James on a mission to finish the story on his own. Now, I knew next to nothing about this movie going into it, and frankly, that probably improved my experience quite a bit. It could be easy to see this as nothing more than a man with a fucked up obsession with the human bear thing, but it's actually a little deeper than that. It's kinda like a combination of The Truman Show and Room that shows how maybe everyone else doesn't actually know what's best for you. Is it perfect? No. Does it rush itself at times? Yeah. Is everything fully fleshed out and realized? No. But it's still an easy watch that most of you likely won't be disappointed with, and I'm gonna give Brigsby Bear an 8 out of 10. The next movie I'm going to talk about today is Marjorie Prime, starring John Hamm, Gina Davis, and Tim Robbins. It's based on the stage play by Jordan Harrison and follows a family that uses some sort of future technology service that allows them to communicate with holographic recreations of their deceased family members. Now, I kind of have a problem with stage-to-screen adaptations, as I find that they almost always don't work out very well, and Marjorie Prime is just another victim of this transition. When something is written for the stage, it takes into account the restrictive nature of the medium and allows for all of the focus to be on the performers and their relationships to one another. With film, you have so many more possibilities, as well as much more creative freedom with how the narrative is portrayed. So when you attempt to move a theater piece to the screen, the subtlety and nuance of the performances are often lost, leaving you with a dry, boring experience. Now, Marjorie Prime isn't the worst adaptation I've ever seen, as the performances were all quite fantastic and the concept behind the play is also really intriguing. It's a deep study into how the memories we have and the stories we tell are bound to change over time, whether we intend for them to or not, and there were times that I was briefly captivated. But again, I just don't see how a move to film makes this worth anyone's time when the superior version is obviously on the stage, and I'll give this one a 6 out of 10. And lastly, I also saw Dave Made a Maze, which is an indie adventure comedy directed by Bill Watterson. This one follows a constantly failing artist named Dave who, out of boredom I guess, one day decides to build a maze out of cardboard in his living room. This is all going pretty great for him until it becomes sentient and starts growing uncontrollably to the point that he becomes lost in there and needs his friends to come get him out. Now that's a really dumb premise, but this is also a really dumb movie. But before I get into that, I want to mention that this movie has some unbelievably good low-budget set design and practical effects. I mean, the amount of effort and care that went into the art direction is something that any film lover should be amazed by, and as someone that has made some really dumb short films before, it honestly inspired me at several moments. However, this is basically the only reason I would ever recommend someone to watch this movie, as the rest of it is just too poorly thought out for them to capitalize on all the cool stuff they did with the sets. I mean, this movie basically only exists so that they can show you how cool all this stuff they made out of cardboard is. Now, I'm all for dumb movies, but there's such a thing as dumb without a purpose, and I feel as though Dave Made a Maze embodies that a little too well. I mean it when I say that I admire what they were able to make with such a low budget, but I won't give them a pass for telling a story that feels like it was written half an hour before filming. And I'm gonna give Dave Made a Maze a 4 out of 10. Alright, so thanks for sticking around and hearing what I have to say if you did, and if you didn't, then no worries, you're just dead to me now. I'll probably have a few more of these coming out before the end of the year, so watch those please, and like them please, and subscribe I guess please. Okay, bye.